The Matrix is a groundbreaking action sci-fi film released in 1999. At its core, it tells the story of machines that trap humans inside a simulated reality, while a small group of rebels fights to break free. The movie opens in an old abandoned building. Inside one of the rooms, a woman named Trinity is secretly sending a message through a computer. She types that she's found the person they've been searching for. But before she can do more, the police storm in, breaking down the door and flooding the place with officers. Not long after, 3 mysterious figures arrive. These are the agents, led by the cold and calculating Agent Smith. While the police head inside to arrest Trinity, it quickly becomes clear that they're outmatched. Trinity moves like no ordinary human. Her speed, strength, and agility seem supernatural. She wipes out the squad of officers effortlessly, tossing them aside as if they were weightless. But her mission isn't over yet. Over her communicator, someone warns her. The agents are coming. Without hesitation, Trinity bolts from the room and makes her escape. The agents, along with the police, give chase. What follows is a jaw-dropping pursuit across rooftops. Trinity leaps incredible distances between buildings, something that should be impossible. The police are left stunned, but the agents, unfazed, make the same leaps with ease. Trinity pushes herself to the limit, sprinting through the city streets. Then she hears something, an old telephone ringing from a booth nearby. She races toward it, knowing it's her only way out. But just as she's about to answer, Agent Smith comes barreling down the road in a massive truck, aiming straight for her. The truck smashes into the booth with a thunderous crash. But when Smith and the other agents check the wreckage, Trinity is gone. She's vanished without a trace. Smith, cold as ever, makes his intentions clear. Their next target is Neo. He turns to the others and says firmly, they must find him, and they must find him fast. Now we finally meet the film's main character, Neo. By day, he works at a respected software company, but by night, he lives a double life as a skilled hacker. One evening, while working at his computer, something strange happens. A mysterious message suddenly flashes across his screen, "Follow the White Rabbit." Just then, there's a knock at his door. It's a group of his usual shady customers there to buy some illegal software. Neo hands over the program, uninterested at first in anything else. But then he notices something unusual. One of them has a white rabbit tattoo on her shoulder. Remembering the message, Neo changes his mind and agrees to join them at a party. At the club, Neo meets none other than Trinity. She approaches him and introduces herself. This surprises him. He's heard of her before. Trinity is a legendary hacker, and now she's telling him something he doesn't expect. She's the one who sent that message to his computer. Their conversation is short but unsettling. Trinity tells Neo he's in grave danger, and that he's been searching for something his whole life, the truth about the mysterious word he keeps hearing, the Matrix. Neo doesn't yet understand what it is, but his curiosity grows stronger than ever. The very next morning, Neo's ordinary routine is interrupted again. A parcel arrives for him at work. Inside is a sleek mobile phone. The moment he picks it up, it rings, and on the other end is a deep, commanding voice. It's Morpheus. Morpheus wastes no time. He warns Neo that the agents are already on their way to arrest him. If Neo follows his instructions, he might escape. What shocks Neo most is how precise Morpheus's directions are, as if he can see every corner of the building. Desperate, Neo does as he's told, slipping past guards and clinging to the side of a skyscraper window in a terrifying escape attempt. The tension builds as Morpheus urges him to keep going, but Neo is overwhelmed with fear. His hands shake, the phone slips from his grasp, and he freezes. Unable to take the risk, he retreats back inside. At that exact moment, the agents catch him. Neo is arrested. Watching everything unfold from a distance is Trinity, keeping her eyes locked on the man who is destined for something greater. After Neo was taken to the police station, Agent Smith sat him down and made an offer. He said, "Help us catch a man named Morpheus, and I'll set you free." But there was a catch. Smith also knew about Neo's secret hacking activities. He threatened him, saying that if Neo refused, he would be locked away in jail. Neo tried to stay calm, but anger got the better of him. He shot back, "If you're talking to me, then I want my lawyer." And that's when things got terrifying. Smith suddenly used some strange, almost supernatural power to seal Neo's mouth shut. Imagine that. His lips vanished and he couldn't speak or make a sound. Completely horrified, Neo was forced down as Smith took out a strange insect-like robot and inserted it into his body. Just as panic overwhelmed him, Neo suddenly jolted awake in his bed. He thought, was it all just a dream? But that uneasy feeling lingered. Not long after, Morpheus contacted him again, telling him, "If you really want to know the truth, meet me at the nearby bridge." Neo didn't hesitate. He went, and soon Trinity showed up along with a few others, Morpheus's trusted people. On the way, Trinity pulled out a strange device, pressed it against Neo's stomach, and to his shock, it extracted the exact same insect-like machine Smith had put inside him earlier. She tossed it away as if it were nothing. That's when Neo realized the horrifying truth. It wasn't just a dream. Everything that happened was real. After some traveling, they arrived at an old, abandoned building. Inside, Neo finally met Morpheus face to face. Morpheus looked at him seriously and said, "This world you know is actually a prison. Humanity is enslaved inside it." Neo was completely confused. Nothing made sense. That's when Morpheus presented him with two pills, a blue one and a red one. He explained, "Take the blue pill and you'll wake up in your bed tomorrow, remembering nothing of this. Take the red pill and you'll finally learn the truth." Without hesitating for too long, Neo reached out, grabbed the red pill, and swallowed it. Morpheus immediately guided him into another room filled with strange computer equipment. Neo was hooked up to one of the machines. Suddenly, he noticed something impossible. The nearby mirror began to ripple and transform, almost like liquid. Neo reached out and touched the liquid mirror with curiosity. Instantly, it began to crawl across his skin and flow into his body. Before he knew it, Morpheus's team activated a strange program on their computer, and suddenly the entire world around Neo dissolved into nothingness. When Neo opened his eyes again, he wasn't in the same world anymore. He found himself trapped inside a small pod filled with liquid. Panicked, he broke through the surface of the pod. His body was weak, and he realized he was covered in wires. Dozens of them, plugged all over him. He yanked them out one by one, gasping for breath. As Neo looked around, what he saw shook him to his core. Millions of pods, each holding another human being, stretched endlessly in every direction. Before he could even process it, a mechanical robot appeared. It grabbed him by the neck, lifted him out, and disconnected the rest of his cables. A moment later, the pod flushed him out like garbage, sending him sliding down a pipe that led into a massive underground drain. Neo struggled helplessly. He didn't even know how to swim. Just when it seemed hopeless, a small ship appeared. The crew inside extended a hook and pulled Neo in. Exhausted, weak, and barely conscious, Neo collapsed as Morpheus and his people surrounded him. His body was in such bad shape that he couldn't even stand. So they placed him inside a medical machine, which slowly began repairing his muscles and body. Days passed, and finally Neo woke up. This time he was stronger. His body was fully healed, though he still carried a small port-like hole in the back of his head. Morpheus and his crew welcomed him aboard their ship and introduced him to everyone. Soon after, they brought Neo back to the machine once again. Morpheus guided him to take a cable, plug it into the hole in his head, and connect to the ship's computer. And just like that, Neo and Morpheus were transported into a completely different world, a digital reality. Everything around Neo felt so real that he could barely believe it wasn't. That's when Morpheus finally revealed the shocking truth. Neo thought he was living in the year 1999, but in reality, it was the year 2099. About 150 years earlier, humanity created an extremely powerful artificial intelligence. But that AI turned against its creators and began acting on its own. A war erupted between humans and machines. In a desperate move to stop the machines, humans blocked out the sun by covering the sky with thick clouds. At the time, the machines relied heavily on solar power, so without sunlight, many robots would fail. The humans' plan worked in part, but it came at a terrible cost. The planet's climate was devastated, and humanity itself became vulnerable. The machines adapted quickly and found a new energy source: the human body. That's what the pods and machines we saw earlier were doing, harvesting bioelectricity from captive humans. People were no longer free-born citizens of a world. They became living batteries produced and managed by machines. Instead of living in the real world, all those human minds are linked into a vast computer simulation, the Matrix. Every person plugged into the Matrix lives in a digital world, unaware their bodies are trapped in pods. Neo has been living inside that simulation for as long as he can remember, but so have billions of others. Hearing this truth leaves Neo stunned. Shortly after learning the truth, Neo is disconnected from the machines and loses consciousness. When he wakes, Morpheus begins to tell him more. He speaks of a man named Elias, a figure who once controlled parts of the Matrix. According to Morpheus, Elias escaped the system, hacked the machine's central control, and then re-entered the Matrix to help free others. Elias became a symbol of resistance, and his actions set the stage for the fight to wake more people from the simulated prison. After some people escaped the Matrix, they came together and built a hidden underground city called Zion. Over time, Zion grew into a massive secret base, the last stronghold of humanity. The mission once carried out by Elias, freeing people from the Matrix, was now continued by others like Morpheus. Many crews aboard different ships were working toward the same goal, rescuing human minds from the machine prison. A prophecy had also spread through Zion. After Elias's death, another person with the same extraordinary power would be born. Morpheus firmly believed this chosen one was Neo, the very reason he had searched for him so long. The next morning, Tank, one of the crew members, came to wake Neo. Unlike the others, Tank didn't have the socket hole in his head. Neo asked why, and Tank explained that he was born naturally in Zion, not inside the Matrix factories. That's why his body had never been wired into the system. Tank then connected Neo to the ship's training computer and began uploading martial arts programs directly into his brain. For hours, Neo absorbed every skill imaginable. By the time the upload finished, he had mastered countless fighting styles. To test his abilities, Morpheus brought Neo into a simulated environment. There, they sparred in an intense martial arts battle. Despite being new, Neo fought incredibly well, far beyond expectation. The rest of the crew watched with awe, wondering if Neo really could be the one. Morpheus explained that inside the simulation, the laws of physics could be bent. That was the secret behind Trinity's earlier superhuman feats, things like running on walls and leaping impossible distances. Finally, to push Neo further, Morpheus led him to the top of a tall building inside the simulation. Without hesitation, Morpheus jumped across to another skyscraper, landing effortlessly. He told Neo to do the same, reminding him that the simulation wasn't real and that if he believed, he could achieve it. Neo took the leap, but fell short. He plummeted all the way down to the street below. Luckily, the ground in the simulation was rubber-like, so Neo only suffered minor injuries. But the fall made it clear. He still had a long way to go. When Neo was pulled out of the simulation, the crew noticed something alarming: blood trickling from his nose. That's when Morpheus explained. Even though the simulation isn't real, the body reacts as if it is. Pain, injuries, even death inside the Matrix could carry over to the real world. If you die there, you die here. Not long after, Morpheus took Neo back into another simulation, this one designed to look exactly like the Matrix itself. There, he revealed another crucial truth: the agents. These weren't ordinary men. Agents are programs, AIs that exist only within the Matrix. They don't have real bodies, but inside the system, they can take anyone plugged into the Matrix at any moment. That's why they're so dangerous. You can't really kill them, because they'll just move into another body. The only ones they can't possess are those who hack into the Matrix from the outside, like Morpheus, Trinity, and the rest of the crew. While Morpheus was still explaining, an urgent call came from the team. They had to get out. Fast. Back in the real world, enemy machines had locked onto their ship's signal and were closing in for an attack. Morpheus and his crew piloted the ship at full speed, with the machines, massive, spider-like sentinels closing in right behind. The chase ended in a tense moment when the crew shut off all power, hiding silently in a narrow tunnel. The sentinels scanned the area but couldn't detect them. After a few breathless seconds, the machines drifted away and the ship was safe for now. But trouble wasn't far away. While the crew slept, Cypher, one of Morpheus's own men, secretly slipped into the Matrix. He had made a deal with Agent Smith. Cypher had grown bitter and exhausted from the harsh, miserable life in the real world. Tired of eating bland food and surviving in hiding, he longed for the comfort of the Matrix again, even if it was a lie. So he promised Smith that he would help capture Morpheus in exchange for being reinserted into the Matrix with a fresh new identity. The next day in the real world, the crew gathered for a meal. Everything seemed normal until Morpheus arrived and announced that Neo would be accompanying him to meet the Oracle inside the Matrix. The journey ahead was about to get even more dangerous. Except for Tank, everyone prepared to jack into the Matrix. Tank stayed on the ship to monitor them and to pull them out when needed. One by one, they appeared inside an empty building, an access point in the Matrix. Nearby sat an old public telephone. The crew uses phones like this to enter and exit the simulation. If someone outside calls that line and you pick up, you are immediately pulled back into the real world. That's the lifeline between worlds. Shortly after they arrive, Neo notices something. Cypher is secretly transmitting their location to someone on the outside. He's already betrayed them. As the team heads toward the Oracle's apartment, Morpheus explains why they're here. The Oracle, or Seer, has a way of seeing what might happen. She once told Morpheus he would find the one, someone with extraordinary powers, and Morpheus believes Neo might be that person. When they reach the Oracle's building, only Neo goes inside. During the meeting, the Oracle playfully asks Neo to do something small, and as he reaches, he accidentally knocks over a potted plant. The moment is oddly intimate. She studies him, then says something that shakes him. The person searching for Morpheus' fate may not be who he expects. In plain terms, she suggests Neo might not be the one, at least not in the way everyone hopes. She also warns that a crisis is coming in which Neo will have to choose between his own life and Morpheus's. Neo leaves and tells Morpheus what he heard. Morpheus asks him to keep it secret until the moment comes true, because the Oracle's words have a way of setting events in motion. Back outside, something even stranger happens. Neo spies a cat. Then a few seconds later, he sees the same cat again in the exact same spot. He jokes that it was déjà vu, but the joke dies when everyone else goes silent. In the Matrix, déjà vu isn't just a feeling. It's a glitch. A repeated moment like that means the programs have been changed. When the team realizes a glitch has occurred, panic sets in, because it usually means the agents are near and something dangerous has been tampered with. At the same time, someone was secretly cutting the telephone wires. When the team looked around, they noticed something strange. The building's exit doors were no longer there, instead sealed off by walls. It became clear that the Matrix had been altered. Suddenly, policemen hiding inside the building jumped out and opened fire, killing one member instantly. Just like before, his death in the Matrix meant death in the real world too. Shocked but determined, the remaining members ran into the upper floors of the tank building, searching every corner until they slipped through a hole in the wall. Morpheus instructed everyone to hide there, and they followed his orders. But luck was not on their side. As they climbed through, a bit of dust fell and landed on Cypher, drawing unwanted attention. The police quickly realized someone was inside the walls and immediately started firing at them. The team returned fire, but their enemies were relentless. At that moment, Agent Smith entered the scene, taking control of a policeman's body. As the fight escalated, Morpheus made a bold move. Smashing through the wall, he confronted Smith directly. A fierce battle broke out between the two. Morpheus, understanding the bigger picture, shouted to his team that Neo's survival mattered more than his own. With heavy hearts, the team pulled Neo away and continued downwards. But their troubles weren't over. More policemen waited below, and their sheer numbers made it impossible to fight back. Forced to retreat, the group squeezed into a narrow tunnel, racing for another way out. Meanwhile, the battle between Morpheus and Smith raged on. Despite Morpheus's strength and determination, Smith proved too powerful. In the end, the agent overpowered him, leaving Morpheus badly beaten. On the other side, the team finally emerged onto the streets through the tunnel. Without wasting time, they contacted Tank in the real world, urging him to locate another active telephone line. Tank quickly hacked into the system and guided Trinity to the nearest available phone. When the team reached the telephone, it began to ring. Cypher, acting first, answered the call. "I'll go first," he said, and in an instant, he was pulled back into the real world. But instead of helping the team, Cypher betrayed them. Before anyone else could arrive, he grabbed a weapon and shot Tank, killing him instantly. Now, no one else could leave the Matrix without the phone ringing. Cypher had effectively trapped the entire team inside the simulation. While the others waited anxiously for the call, Trinity tried contacting Tank, but Cypher intercepted it. He revealed everything: his betrayal. Shock and devastation spread through the team. One by one, Cypher began unplugging the crew from the Matrix. Without being properly disconnected, they would die in the real world. His betrayal was ruthless. He killed almost everyone on the team. In the chaos, only Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus remained alive. Smith had already warned Cypher not to harm Morpheus, so he stopped just in time. At that moment, Tank, who was not truly dead, returned. Armed and ready, he shot Cypher, ending the traitor's life. He also rescued Trinity, bringing her safely back into the real world, and taken to a police station for questioning that as the agents still sought to control him. During this, Smith revealed a shocking truth. The Matrix was actually the second digital world created by the AI. Before this, there had been an earlier simulated world designed to make humans completely happy. In that world, humans even knew it was a simulation, but because freedom was restricted, They created chaos, and the first digital world collapsed. Learning from that failure, the AI designed the current Matrix, the system Neo and everyone else had been trapped in. Despite the tension, Smith, out of politeness, asked Morpheus to reveal the location of Zion City. He tried to pressure and intimidate him, but Morpheus remained steadfast, refusing to give any information, no matter what threats were made. "If you want, I can now rewrite." Finally, Smith resorted to injecting Morpheus with a special truth serum, expecting that he would reveal the location of Zion. But Morpheus didn't say a single word. On board the ship, the others watched anxiously, knowing that the serum would normally make anyone spill the truth. Trinity, worried, said Morpheus would likely reveal Zion's location within hours. Tank, panicked, suggested the only way to save the city might be to unplug Morpheus, even if it killed him. Trinity reluctantly agreed, but Neo refused. He had a plan. "I can go back into the Matrix and save him," he said. Trinity insisted on joining him, and together they connected to the computer. Tank guided them back into the Matrix, fully armed and ready. The two of them arrived at the police station where Morpheus was being held. To buy time and clear a path, they started taking out the policemen, using their martial arts skills and bending the rules of physics inside the Matrix. Bullets slowed, flips and dodges defied reality, and soon the police station became chaos. When other agents arrived to report Neo and Trinity's intrusion, it was already too late. Neo and Trinity fought their way up to the elevator, but the elevator stopped mid-ascent. Hanging onto the cables, they climbed to the roof. Several policemen were stationed there, and an agent jumped onto one of them. Neo fired, but the agent dodged every bullet. A single shot grazed Neo's leg, sending him tumbling to the ground. The agent moved in to finish him, but Trinity arrived just in time, shooting the agent in the head. Even then, the agent wasn't truly gone. Neo and Trinity spotted a helicopter on the roof, which had been uploaded into their brains for control. They jumped in and flew straight toward the room where Morpheus was being interrogated. Chaos erupted as they opened fire with a heavy machine gun. Agents scattered, bullets ricocheted, and the room descended into mayhem. Morpheus seized the moment, hopping into the helicopter. Smith fired, grazing Morpheus's leg, but he managed to get in. Neo, realizing he couldn't fit in, grabbed a rope, swung across, and rescued Morpheus. Trinity struggled to control the helicopter under fire, eventually landing on the roof of another building. The agents attempted to follow, but Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus had already escaped to safety. From there, they made their way to an old subway station where a telephone awaited, an exit point from the Matrix. Tank called in the extraction. Morpheus was brought out first, followed by Trinity, but as they prepared for the next phase of the escape, an unexpected obstacle appeared, a beggar blocking the way. Smith suddenly leapt onto the beggar blocking Neo's path, forcing him to stop. In a swift move, Smith destroyed the telephone, cutting off their escape route. With no other option, Neo and Smith prepared to fight. At first, they exchanged gunfire, but both ran out of bullets. The battle quickly turned into hand-to-hand combat. Up until now, no one had ever defeated Smith. Amid the fight, the distant sound of a train reached them. Smith pushed Neo onto the tracks, holding him down just as the train barreled toward him. In a tense moment, Neo jumped out of the way at the last second. Smith, however, climbed onto a passenger's body and continued his relentless attack. Neo, realizing brute force alone wouldn't work, decided to retreat and ran back into the real world. Meanwhile, on the ship, alarms blared as robots closed in. Morpheus and Trinity prepared to activate the EMP device, but it would shut down all ship electronics if Neo wasn't back in time. Neo grabbed a telephone on his way, called Tank, and followed his directions while Smith pursued him, firing shots along the way. Neo narrowly dodged and finally reached a building, but the robots breached the ship. As Neo ran through the building, Smith shot at him again. Trinity and Morpheus watched in shock, realizing the stakes were higher than ever. Neo remembered something Morpheus had said about the visionary, how their guidance might be false. In that moment, Neo understood. He truly was the one. With that realization, everything changed. Bullets frozen midair stopped him from being hit. Neo now perceived the Matrix as streams of code. When Smith attacked, Neo smashed him effortlessly, then leapt into Smith's code and erased him completely. Smith collapsed like a crumpled sheet of paper. The remaining agents fled in terror. Neo quickly found another telephone and returned to the real world. At the same time, Morpheus activated the EMP, destroying the attacking robots and saving the ship. The team was safe. Days later, Neo returned to the Matrix, fully embracing his power. He confronted the artificial intelligence, warning it that he could destroy the entire digital world if it dared to harm humanity again. With that, he soared into the sky, the iconic green matrix code trailing behind him, and the movie ended,